Hi, everybody. I'm Rainbow, and welcome to Dimensional Walking. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I've wanted to talk to you guys about for a while. I changed my mind, and I went, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I went ahead and now I've decided I'm going to do it. And the reason why I wasn't going to do it is because of the context of what's around this particular topic. But I thought, you know what? I'm a medicine woman. I'm going to do this in respect and with dignity and grace. And so I think I can go ahead and talk about this. So, what this is a religion, fast growing religion that is happening in the United States called Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte means Saint Death. She's also known as Holy Death. Now the story behind her goes back to the Aztecs, South America, also even to, from what I understand, even England. I mean, it's kind of the story is kind of borrowed from a lot of different places. But how she originated is, if you look back at every story, there's like this a human story to um, to kind of give it context. So she was a woman. She fell in love with a guy that was no good, and some stories say she was pregnant. Some stories say she wasn't, but he ended up leaving her, and she was so I guess despondent about it that she ended her life. And so God took pity on her because usually in the Catholic religion, anybody who, and I'm just saying that religion in particular because there's a reason for it. But in the Catholic religion, if somebody does that, then God, they go straight to hell. Well, God took pity on her and went, I don't want you to go to hell. So he gave her a position to where she's connected to the Reaper, but she's not the Reaper. She's the one who takes the departed souls to their destination. And so she's someone that isn't scary necessarily, but she is depicted as in shrines as a skeleton that has a crown or has a veil, has clothes on, highly decorated. The shrines for Santa Muerta are very intricate and beautiful, painted in amazing colors, and flowers and novenas, all kinds of things. And but she's also connected to, uh, let's see, I think I have it here. She's connected also to the Virgin of Guadalupe. And in fact, she's many times considered her the Virgin of Guadalupe because the Virgin of Guadalupe, I think, has an eagle or something underneath her, a sash. So she's darker skinned, and I have her. And I didn't think I was that ignorant, but I guess I am. I didn't know that that's who what she was surrounded by. Found that very interesting. I'm like going, well, wow, I have her in shadow boxes and actually in a few other statues. So, with this being said, the reason why it's the fastest growing religion is because it's the practitioners of this religion, and some people call it a cult. I'm not going to. I'm going to call it a religion. So, the reason why people follow it is because those who are the practitioners of it are the ones on the outskirts of society. A lot of cartels believe in her, a lot of gangs, criminals, drug addicts, prostitutes, people who are just living on the outskirts of society who feel that they don't have anybody who is there for them. And so she was created by the necessity to have something for these groups to believe in. But what's really interesting about her is that she's an icon that doesn't have any judgment on what you ask her. You can ask her for all kinds of things like a blessed marriage, many children, money. If you want to get that house to have you, to have you be in the number one spot to be able to get your home, to get your new car, anything that you want. But you can also ask her for the opposite of all of that, the dark and the negative stuff, which is also where witchcraft is involved in this religion. And there are a lot of high witches, not any different than the Egyptian, I call it religion, because it's basically you had high priests and priestesses who people would go to help grant to talk to the deities to be able to get across their wants and their needs. And that's kind of what this is. You go to a high witch to actually have her do some things for you. Now, what's really interesting about this is the fact that it's a lot of this religion is borrowed from the Catholic religion, and it does have the Aztec aspect to it. So there's that connection there. But the one thing about this religion is that it celebrates death, and so it's that everyday life of not being afraid of death like the Egyptians, but actually knowing that at any time, any place, death can come. So it's not living in fear of death. So a lot of the different aspects of this religion are very, very similar to the Catholic religion. Now, the Mexican government, they don't acknowledge this religion because they know that the gangs um, are actually following this religion, and the Catholic religion, they consider it, because of the magic or the witchcraft that's involved in it, they consider it Satanism. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be that, because of the way that some practitioners in any religion, you can even have the dark arts in mass, in the Catholic mass. You can have it in anything, but they neither the government or the Catholic Church acknowledges this aspect, this religion. They don't want to give it any more importance than it already has, because of the consequences of actually acknowledging this, and then giving it the cartels and the gangs even more, um you know giving them more, this religion more importance into what they do. If it's acknowledged, then it's that the idea that what they believe in is legit, and they don't want to do that. So I found that really interesting. Now they have candles, they have novenas, and there's different colored candles for specific needs and wants. They have incense, they have all kinds of stuff that they actually do use in the Catholic religion. I mean, there's so much that's borrowed from that I think it's an offshoot of the Catholic religion to me. That's just to me and in my opinion. But I think what is really interesting about it is that it's actually been featured in one particular show, and I think we all can remember the Breaking Bad series. I mean, Michael and I knew character actors who were actually in the show, and we were at a red carpet affair that they had for the show. And so, and a close friend of mine, Johnny Salas, he's an artist, and he does these amazing shadow boxes, these spirit, they're like religious in content, like they have the Virgin Mary and they have Jesus, and and he goes even beyond that to Frida Kahlo and the Gothic and all that stuff. But he actually, they came to him and had him make something for the show, which I think is really, really cool. And now he's become a speaker and a very knowledgeable about the Santa Muerte religion. But when Breaking Bad brought out or did a scene where they were showing people who believed in this specific religion, they it was the scene where they had the twins. And if you Google or do YouTube the show Breaking Bad and you do Santa Muerte twins, I think it'll bring up that small snippet of seeing a lot of people crawling on the ground with their dedication, crawling to the shrine of Santa Muerte, and then a lot of candles lit, just like an altar, like you would see in a church or in a shrine. And you can see these two the twins who are in these really nice suits are crawling to her because they want to ask her something. And so Santa Muerta doesn't care she has no judgment on what you ask her. So it can be something awesome and amazing and wonderful, or it can be the opposite of that. She has no judgment, she'll do either. And so what makes it very different than, or maybe not any different than other religions, is that the intention of the person and how they truly believe that their prayer will be answered. And there's a lot of people who just truly believe that miracles have happened because of her and that they've gotten things, whether they were good or bad, whatever their intention and wish was, that it came true. Now, the one thing about Santa Muerte is there's a lot of followers who believe that she gives them superhuman powers. So they believe that uh, if they wish death on someone, that'll make them invincible, and they believe that bullets won't hit them. There's just this idea that they have this ability beyond the normal human, which makes this religion much different, I think, than the average religion that's out there. I think a lot of followers don't necessarily believe that they're invincible or they're superhuman. So that's one thing that is really interesting about this religion. But the one thing that I found that was really interesting about it and made me stop to think is the fact that you will have these shrines or things hidden in the either behind churches, Catholic churches, or next to them or close to them. So people will go to church and yet they'll go ahead and go to their shrine of Santa Muerta because they're going to ask her for things that they want, and or they'll have a witch do that. And so that's the difference there. So, I mean, instead of having the priest do it, you have this witch do it. Now, I'm not saying one or the other. I'm not going to have judgment on that because that's not my job. I'm just here sharing with you this information that I found, and I had no idea about this religion. And maybe it's been because I've been away from New Mexico for so long, but I mean, it's just it's amazing how fast it's growing here in the United States. Um, let's see. Um, so the one thing that I wanted to say here is that the people who believe in Santa Muerta truly have this devotion to her. They call her the skeleton saint, and she's connected to, I said the Reaper, but she has, because she is a skeleton, they will put these elements on her to make her look like the Reaper. And so it's a lot of people believe in her for their protection um, uh, uh, of other people who are in the same business. So, you have these different groups who are fighting each other. And so and I find that interesting because if they're both believe in the same thing, how does she even, if they're praying to the same being or the same saint, I should say, How can she grant or not grant? Someone saying, I want someone to die, and the other one saying, I want someone to die. Maybe it's them. I don't know how that's gonna work. But anyways, on my notes here, let's see, the gangs and the the groups that are involved in the criminal activities have this idea of the memento mori, which means remember you must die. So that's why in this particular religion, they have it's based on understanding that you always have a relationship with death and with loved ones who have passed away. So that's very, very important. And so what's interesting about it is that because Mexico is one of the most Catholic religions on the planet, I guess, from what some people have stated, um, it's interesting that this religion is an offshoot from the Catholic religion, and I think it is. I think that there's other aspects too that people um, are devoted to praying to, not just her. There's other aspects too, other saints and groups that the Catholic religion has that people pray to. There's many, many saints for all kinds of stuff. And that's the interesting thing about the Catholic religion based on other religions is that we have so many saints for everything. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, this was just I wanted to give you kind of like an update on something very interesting that is happening here in the United States. Um, I don't have you know an opinion on if it's if these people how I feel about it is if these people believe in her, then that's their religion and that's for them. I think that's it's important to respect and understand that there's no one religion here on this planet. There's just so many religions. Oh my God, we know this. But this one in particular, because it's of her, the importance to the the criminal groups who believe in her, it's important to know this because you need to understand what's happening in the world today. I think it's just really important to understand and to know. And I think that I understand it and I get it because I understand the Egyptian religion, and I call it religion, the Egyptian beliefs. And there's so much that has been borrowed from the Egyptians. The Catholic Church even borrowed some things from the Egyptians. Every religion has borrowed something from another one. So this it's not surprising that we have this new religion that is happening now. And I find it's each generation kind of has their own way of changing religion. And that's kind of what I think happened. I think you have a group of people who weren't getting what they needed from whatever religion. And so this came about because they felt, well, we can get something here. This is something for me. And I get it. And I totally understand it. Um, it's not a religion that I follow, but it's a religion that I can respect. And I think that's the important thing. It doesn't mean I follow it. It just means I get it. So tell me what you think with your comments below. It's that fine line of understanding what this is all about. So the Day of the Dead is celebrated, I think, isn't it in September? Didn't it just happen? If you know, let me know down below. But acknowledging your ancestors and acknowledging the dead is huge in Mexico, and it's even huge in New Mexico. I mean, we celebrate that in New Mexico. So I think the one thing that I find interesting is that we live our lives so much trying to forget that one day death will happen. And there's religions where it's just like they embrace the idea that death is around us every single day. And so I think it's a good wake up call that, we can run as much as we want, but no matter how far we run, death is always right next to us. So, anyways, that's my opinion on Santa Muerta. I thought you guys might enjoy it, and I hope you all have a good October and enjoy yourselves during this Halloween season. I don't know if I'll be getting back to you before then. I'll try, but leave your comments down below and tell me what you think. Um, this is a religion that I find very interesting. I'm not calling it a cult, like I said. I'm calling it a religion. So, anyways, thank you for listening. If you have any comments, please leave them down below, and I will see you hopefully in the next video. Bye bye.